Good morning, or at whatever point you happen to be watching this. Today is Chapter 2 day. I wanted to give you a couple heads up before you read Chapter 2. Chapter 2 in All Quiet is made in two parts. The first part talks about Paul's basic training experience, and it introduces you to one of my favorite characters, whose name is Himmelstoss. Again, he is the villain, and he really motivates the guys to become who they were and, quite frankly, to be able to survive when they were on the battlefront. The relationship that you have with your basic training instructor is not supposed to be one that is loving and caring, but there is a special animosity that exists between Himmelstoss and Paul and his friends. I want you to pay attention to that. I also want you to pay attention to, so here's basic training. He does defend his teacher. He defends Mueller wanting to have those boots so badly. And then he goes into basic training. So this is basic training. Basic training, he explains how they all became enlisted under the number 9 platoon with Corporal Himmelstoss. Please put him inside of your character chart. He does a giant, what would be a musical montage if I was creating a movie of this. This giant paragraph talks straight through all of the reasons that they cannot stand that guy. A bigger reason why they can't stand that guy is going to show up in Chapter 3, but he gives you enough in Chapter 2 so that you understand. After he describes all the things that occurred during basic training, he does say that one thing is positive, and the one thing that is positive is this word comradeship. Everything else in the negative, or everything else in the novel, seems negative about warfare. Comradeship is going to be the one shining positive. After he does his flashback into basic training and explaining how the boys became who they were on the battlefield, he then goes back to Kenrick's bedside. At the end of Chapter 1 that you should have finished yesterday on your own, all the guys promised to come back the next day. I want you to pay attention to who goes back the next day. Quite frankly, this scene's a little bit different this time, and it's a little bit darker because it seems that Kenrick has the knowledge of two important things that he did not realize yesterday. And it's going to be really hard for Paul. So I want you to pay attention to that. This is going to be, and I'll straight up tell you, this is going to be the first loss that really stings him, because this is the loss of a genuine friend. So pay attention to how Paul handles it. Pay attention to how Paul talks to him. Also, pay attention. Also, pay attention to how the doctor at the end of the chapter handles it. That's gonna play into a theme that we're going to discuss later on. So pay attention to those things. If you look at the sorry, I'm trying to figure this technology out. If you look at the scene as if it were your friend, I think it's going to be a really powerful chapter. So, read the chapter. Know that it's in two parts. It's about basic training. It's about sitting by Kenrick's bedside. Once you do that, take care of the written portion in which you are writing a letter from somebody's perspective to someone at home. Paul straight up tells you he's going to go write a letter at the end of the chapter, so you could just write that one if you'd like to. And then submit that to Google Classroom. If you have any questions, contact me. Thanks.